Welcome once again to Masterclass in Biology. We are continuing with most valuable questions. This is a very important series just before our NEET entrance examination. We are looking at the most probable questions that can be asked in the NEET entrance examination. And we are limiting ourselves almost entirely, but I should say largely, to the text matter that is given in NCERT, because we both know that this is where the questions are going to be formed from. I hope this thing is now absolutely clear. Again and again, I am telling you that this is something. Please understand this, that your NCERT textbook right at this moment is very important. As always, you must have your NCERT with you, and you should have a copy and pencil available with you. And when I am discussing these things, then you can understand that what exactly are the things that you need to focus upon. So we are discussing plant growth and development. I will tell you some of the important questions, because what I feel is that the number one important question that will be asked from this chapter would be from the plant growth regulators, which are also called as the plant hormones. And I have made a fact sheet for you. I will show you, and please remember, this is how the facts have to be remembered. So I will show you how do you make a fact sheet. I will share the fact sheet with you. I will request Kapil sir to share the fact sheet with you, and please go through it again and again. It is your effort that is much more important than mine. And this is, remember, again, try to keep the things in perspective. This is our last revision. We are having a final revision of the most probable questions. Now, if we look at the question number 1, so what can be the question number 1? It would be that, do you know that what exactly is development in plant? So your NCERT says right at the beginning that this is a totality of both growth as well as differentiation. So growth plus differentiation would be plant development. I hope this is now absolutely clear. The plant growth beginning, then you look at your NCERT, is the beginning of the seed germination. We know that what generation the seed belongs to, and seed starts germinating, it begins the growth, and then along with differentiation it will lead to the development in the plant. So this is question number 1 that should be absolutely clear. Now, moving on, the second important thing would be that this growth in plant is actually said to be indeterminate. So this is a very common question that is asked, and you know that this is because of the presence of meristems, especially at the apices and certain other places. You know that this type of growth is actually called as indeterminate. We already know from chapter number 1 that growth in multicellular organism also occurs by cell division, but cell division in plant can occur throughout the life. And if you remember about the animals, then you know that after certain age the growth stops, although the cell division continues to replace the lost cell. I hope you remember this point from chapter number 1. And there is another term that is being used by the NCERT, which is actually called as the open growth in respect to the plants. Now, the third thing would be the types of growth, the types of the growth, or I should say the growth rate. This is something important. This is arithmetic growth and the geometric growth. So there is a question that is commonly asked from the arithmetic and the geometric growth. And what happens is that one of the cell, when it divides, produces 2 cells in arithmetic growth. You know the example they are giving of the root tip. Say for example in onion plant, what happens is that one of them gets differentiated, the other continues to divide. And the second thing they will be asking you about the graph, and this is a linear relationship, and they will ask you about what will be the length at time t. You will say that it will be depending on L0 at time 0 plus the rate and into the time. So this is the equation that you should know about the arithmetic growth or in plants. What about the geometric growth? So what happens is that when the cell divides, both the cells continue to divide, and therefore what you will see is that there would be a lag phase, then there would be an exponential growth, and then because of the limitation of the nutrient availability, it will attain a stable size. This would be the shape of the growth that you will see in case of geometric growth. The maximum growth is occurring here. This is what is called as the log phase, and please try to remember that this is where we say that Wt is equal to W0 ERT. Now you know about the Euler's function and the exponential growth factor that comes into play. So these are the two very important graphs that are being asked in the entrance examination. Now we come on to the other thing, which is actually the differentiation part. So what exactly is differentiation? I have already told you that the molecular basis of differentiation is that the different cells in the body are producing different enzymes, different sets of genes are active. If you remember human physiology, we said that all the cells of the human body, adult human body, are derived from the single zygote. But why they are functioning differently? The answer would be that they are functioning differently because they have different sets of genes which are active, and they are producing different enzymes, and therefore they are producing different functions. So what happens in plant? Again, there would be differentiation, there would be a division of labor, there would be the sort of specialization, so that the plant actually, so there is meristem, this meristem continues to divide, and this meristem actually first develops into a primary plant body, you know, this primary tissues, and this formation would be because of differentiation. And some of the later on what can happen, that there would be de-differentiation, so that means they can get undifferentiated again, but because they were differentiated before, that is why this is called as de-differentiation. They become again meristematic, and we have already discussed all these things in plant anatomy, and then they can give rise to the secondary permanent tissue. So I hope all these things are clear. This process would be called as a redifferentiation, and like growth, the differentiation is also said to be the indeterminate one. So which means that it is the location of the cell that actually may decide what it will be developing into. For example, your NCERT says that at the root apex, the cells which are away from the apex, they develop into root cap, and the cells which are pushed laterally, they will develop into the epidermal layers. So this is why we say that not only growth but differentiation is also indeterminate or open in the plants. And then can we measure the growth? What exactly is dry weight? What exactly is fresh weight? Why dry weight is better than the fresh weight? And how do you measure growth? What is relative and what is absolute growth? Now, just to understand this question, there has been the two examples of your NCERT where they say that there is a leaf which has a surface area of 50 square meters and 50 square centimeters, and it grows to have a surface area of 55 centimeters square. So this is an absolute growth of plus 5 centimeters square. So you can easily understand this is the absolute amount. What is the amount by which the surface area is increased? And the absolute amount will be same for say for example a leaf only having 5 centimeters square area and getting it to say for example 10 centimeters square. Again, the absolute value remains 5 only. So this is same. But don't you think that the relative growth is actually much higher here, because it has actually got doubled in size? So this is not, so there is a concept of what is called as an absolute growth and what is called as a relative growth. This is another question that they may ask you from the chapter based on your NCERT textbook. Finally, please try to understand one more thing from this section is that the plants are stationary. So like animals, they do not have the luxury to move about, and therefore when the plant is at the same location for a pretty long period of time, the seasons change. So which means that they will have to adapt differently to the different seasonal conditions. And what can happen, that the phenotype expressed in different environmental conditions can change. This is what is called as phenotypic plasticity, and this is actually seen in heterophyly in certain plants. And this is a very, very important response in the plant where it is not able to locomote but is able to respond to the change in the environmental condition by this process which is called as phenotypic plasticity. So this is the first section of the textbook. This is where the questions that I have discussed, normally they will ask you about the arithmetic and the geometric and the graph and the equations. This is what they ask. They can ask you about differentiation, redifferentiation and de-differentiation. They can ask you about what happens in plant tissue culture or what is actually a tumor. Now, the second portion is a factual portion. This is where I was telling you that I am giving you a fact sheet myself, and I will advise you that I will share this fact sheet with you. And if you look the chemical nature of PGR, question number 1. So you look at the two columns. Try to remember them. that what is indole 3-acetic acid? It is an indole compound. What are adenine derivatives? What are carotenoids, terpenes, gases? So there can be a question, direct question, or there can be a matching question from this section. Again, look at the next question that is possible from this place would be that your NCERT says that there are two broad groups of PGR, and one are called as plant growth promoters, other are called as plant growth inhibitors, and which of the given PGRs can be grouped in which particular group. So what I am showing you is a very good fact sheet that I myself have created for you, and please try to remember this is your effort here, that is why I am providing you this fact sheet, so that you are able to read it again and again, these facts. And this is something very, very important about ethylene, and ethylene is something you should go through very, very meticulously, because it is one of the most widely used PGR in agriculture. And then the discovery of PGR, again this has been asked lot of times, the name of the scientist and what was the experimental method, name of the scientist, the year, and the experiment by which they were able to isolate these PGR. This is something very important. This is question number 3. And then I have given you all the applications of all the PGR. Please remember that you will have to go through these fact sheets again and again. This is very important to understand that we are just before our NEET entrance examination. We have read all these things. It will take a lot of time to explain everything. So what we are doing is that we are limiting ourselves to NCERT. I have made a fact sheet for you. You know all of these things, and if you keep on repeating your fact sheet again and again, and then this is going to be a part of your memory, actually a permanent part of your memory, and this is something that you must know. And look at this, that I am saying that in the last part we are saying some additional points regarding PGR from NCERT. So this is I think now absolutely clear. I am not going to discuss for hours and hours together all the PGR. Please try to remember this is our final revision. Again and again I am saying the question is coming from the text matter of the NCERT, and definitely a question will come. So what I am experimenting with is that whenever I tell you to make a fact sheet, whether you are able to make it or not, so I am doing this as an example for you. I hope this will be very, very helpful. Now moving on to the third section, of the chapter. This is a very, very quick revision, and we are looking at the response to the light. So light triggers many growth and development processes in plants, and together they are called as photomorphogenesis. So there is a good concept. Please try to remember this. So I am using a word, photomorphogenesis. So these are the events during growth and development that are triggered because of light. So this is called as photomorphogenesis. Now what is light? Light will be, obviously the plants will be affected by the quantity, they will be affected by the wavelength, they will be affected by the duration, and they will be so many factors of the light, obviously the direction of the light as well. So light is not unidimensional. So in plant, light controlling so many growth and development properties has so many facets to understand. And if you remember, when I was teaching you photosynthesis, I told you that these responses can be seen through what is called as an action spectrum. So you provide different wavelengths of the light, and you see that what is the response of a particular activity in a plant, and what you get is an action spectrum, such as the action spectrum that was actually first shown to us by T.W. Engelmann, if you remember, the first action spectrum of photosynthesis. So what they were doing, the scientists were doing, that they were actually exposing the plants to the different wavelength of the lights, and they were seeing that what are the effects of the different wavelengths of the light on the growth and development or photomorphogenesis in plant. And immediately they came to realize that there are two wavelengths. One is the blue and the red, which are actually most effective in most of these things. things, and therefore this is where they came to know that there should be two types of light receptors. I hope you are getting this point. This is the section of the NCERT that I am trying to actually put to you in a slightly different manner so that you actually understand the concept. And now as you were making X-ray spectrum with the different wavelength of the light, immediately you came to know that blue and red light are very, very important, and you came to know that there should be two types of photoreceptors. One type of photoreceptor will be called as the blue light photoreceptors. So the blue light photoreceptors, and they will play some very, very important role in the various processes. Say for example, in phototropism. So please look what I am saying. This is phototropism. I am not writing photoperiodism here. I am writing phototropism. I hope you remember what exactly it is. And blue light is also responsible for opening of stomata. So opening of stomata in plant is again, and obviously the third would be the elongation of hypocotyle. So you know when the seedling comes out of the soil, the elongation of hypocotyle. So I think you remember all these things, and this is where the blue light receptors play a very, very important role. The red light receptors are called as the phytochromes. I hope you are getting this concept now absolutely clear. So we are looking at phytochromes. Phytochromes are the red light receptors. Now try to understand this. These phytochromes, so they are the red light receptors. So what the scientists did, they took lettuce seeds, and these lettuce seeds were soaked in water. So that means one of the requirement for seed germination was actually completed. That was the availability of water, and therefore these were water soaked lettuce seeds, and they were exposed to the wavelength of the light in the far spectrum, the visible spectrum, where the where the red wavelengths lie. So these water soaked lettuce seeds were exposed by these wavelengths, and what they saw, that maximum generation occur when there was a light given which is approximately 660 nanometer, and it lies in the red spectrum of the PAR. And when they were using a far red wavelength which is 730 nanometer, it was actually inhibited. So this told them something else. They said that this phytochrome can have two biological forms. One would be called as PR, that actually absorbs preferentially in this wavelength, and this would be called as PFR, which is far red, that will be absorbing preferentially in the far red wavelength, and they are photo interconvertible, which means that this PR that absorbs the red light and gets converted into PFR becomes active and performs the function. But what happens when you give the far red light? If you give the far red light, this gets interconverted. You know the interconvertibility. It gets converted into PR and becomes inactive. So this is how they saw that this is how they actually affected what is called as the germination of the seed. So germination of the seed, and incidentally, the germination of seed also required many times not only a photoperiod. We will look at the photoperiodism as well. So okay, let us start with photoperiodism and their effect in the induction of the flowering. So try to remember the phytochromes also involved in photoperiodism. So the basic concept to understand here is going in a short manner is that there are two types of plants. One would be called as short day plant, the other is called as the long day plant. And lot of work has been done on Xanthium strumarium. So this plant is actually called as cockleber, which is actually short day plant. And this short day plant, the basic concept to understand before the entrance examination is that this should be actually a long night plant. It actually is a long night plant. So when we say short day plant, we actually say that the length of the darkness is actually critical. In photoperiodism, when we say that light influences photoperiodism, we actually want to say that it is the length of the darkness which is actually critical in inducing flowering. I hope this thing is now absolutely clear. Similarly, the long day plant would actually be called as a short night plant. A short night plant. And please remember, we are not talking about any absolute period. There is a critical length that we are talking about. So this is something that you must understand, what exactly is a short day plant, what exactly is a long day plant, and please try to remember the names of the examples that are given in the NCERT. And a lot of work has been done on Maryland mammoth plant, which is actually a tobacco variety, and that is also again a short day plant. And as I told you, on Xanthium strumarium, lot of experimental works were done. And now let me give you just an insight. Suppose let me draw some 24 hours period. So these are the 24 hours period, and what I am asking you is, let us say this is the critical length that we are talking about, and if it is shorter than this, and we are looking at short day plant and long day plant. So please try to remember, long day plant are actually short night plants. So where does the flowering occur? So we say the flowering will not occur here, will occur here. I hope this is now absolutely clear. So this is now absolutely clear. Please try to understand. We are making a critical length and the period of darkness. So the inner square is actually a period of darkness, and now you can understand that this is below the critical length, and this is where the flowering happens, and this is where the flowering doesn't happen. I hope you are paying attention to the screen. And now what happens? This is where the flowering occurs, and this is where the flowering doesn't occur. And when I was talking about the interconvertibility of PR into PFR, and what happens if you give a red flash and then followed by a far red flash during the dark period, the answer is the last flash will decide what is going to be the response. So which means a question can be asked something like this, that okay, this is the critical period, the dark period is much more than that, and we interrupt it in between by the exposure to the red light. Now you can understand there will be a problem, and this is where flowering doesn't take place, this is where flowering actually take place. And what happens when it is R and FR in quick succession, one after the another? We know that this would be determining the final response, and it will not be able to judge the interruption in the dark period, and the situation will be something like this. So this is how they actually ask you question on photoperiodism. Incidentally, it is not the only method. Even after photoperiodism, some of the seed may require an exposure to cold treatment before they are able to flower, and this type of cold exposure treatment is actually called as vernalization. There is another concept given in NCERT which is about seed dormancy. Seed dormancy is very, very important. Very, very important. The reason is seed may have limited resources available. The nutrient amount may not be much more, and therefore if they start germinating during the unfavorable condition, it will be very, very bad for the plant species. So they must tide over the unfavorable condition, and at that period they actually lie dormant. And this dormancy can be because of the exogenous environmental factor as well as because of the endogenous factor. There may be some chemicals which are present in the seed that may bring about the seed dormancy. There may be environmental condition, and there are some mechanisms by which you can actually overcome the seed dormancy. What happens when the seed is going through the alimentary canal of the animal? What happens? You can actually rub the seed on a rough surface, and there are some chemicals which can actually be used, and PGR that can be used to overcome seed dormancy. You will see in the fact sheet that is given in the seed dormancy. This is the question that they are likely to ask. Now I hope I have given you an overview of the chapter. And because I am giving you a fact sheet, I am not discussing PGR. Don't underestimate the length. Don't underestimate the importance of the chapter by the length of the feeder video that has been provided. There is a lot of homework. This was a very good suggestion given by few students, sir. Please try to show us that how to go about retaining the factual information in the entrance examination. So what we have done is that we have provided with you a fact sheet. This will be shared with you. It contains everything that is written in NCERT, and probably this would be only a 5 or 10 minutes job every day. And if you do it 4 or 5 times before the NEET entrance exam, I am pretty sure that you will be able to get all the questions correct. I hope you will find this thing useful. This is a changed approach to the chapter, and please do comment in the video that is it more useful, because this is the suggestion given by some students that I am acting upon, because I like this suggestion, because I know that factual information has to be repeated again and again. Only then it becomes a part of memory. Many students say, sir, we do not understand how to make a fact sheet. I have made a comprehensive one, because this is where I actually feel that the question may appear in the NEET entrance exam. Mind you, try to look very deeply into ethylene. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.